Welcome to the shit show.
Tom, it is the All Elite wrap-up for January 9th, 2025. You like the background this week, Tom?
I do. That
Beautiful
is
Arrowhead Stadium, which, by the way, the road to the Super Bowl goes right through, so I felt it only, appropriate to put it up there. Now we got some matching Kansas City backgrounds. Fun fact, we are both in the city of Kansas City, but we are not in the same city. We aren't even in the same state.
No, we're in the same
most of
city,
you know
but
by
we're
now. If you paid attention in middle school
no,
geography,
we're in the
you should know.
same. We're in the same city, but not the same state.
Well, we're not in the same city, technically.
Yeah,
we're
it's
both
still
in
called
Kansas
the same.
City, but
It's
we're
still
not in the
called the
same
same.
city, and we're not even in the same state. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Tom rolling around.
Yeah. Is
That looks
it
good, I
better?
think. That's straight enough.
Yeah, dang. Well, let me
Straight
start
enough.
figure.
We got folks in the chat. We got Troubles with Weekly Wrestling. Hell yeah, it's wrap-up time. By the way, subscribe to Troubles with Weekly Wrestling Podcast. Subscribe to all the sickos, fun stuff that you meet here in the chat with us here. Subscribe to all their things. There's a nice ecosystem out there. If you like AEW and you like all kind of the finer arts in society, our fans got it covered for you.
Yeah,
Tom,
I
how are
really
you?
like the channels. I like the channels on that Discord. The one that's really starting to grow on me is the Void. I like the Void.
Ah, yeah,
That one's-
the Void. Mhm.
Yeah.
And look, we have Wrestling with Neurodivergence podcast in the chat, which I owe a message back to. So welcome to the chat. So many things going on in my head. Yeah, Tom, how are you, man? We talked about this briefly. Anxiety's been up. That's why I'm glad we're here, because that can dial back a little bit when we're talking to some of the sickos. And it's a good point to remind you, fuck what anybody else tells you. When you're having issues, talk to people about it, like I'm doing now, right? Let the folks around you lend an ear and help out, right? Humans didn't make it
Yes.
alone. You know what I mean?
I will say, for all the things that I talk shit on CM Punk about, which I think most are deservingly so, the speech that he had in Kansas City after John Moxley was unable to attend because he checked himself into rehab, that was a very good speech, powerful speech, and I 100% agree with that. So I would say, even though the things he had to say, which I do believe he was being honest about, I don't think he was just like doing it for clout kind of thing. That was very good. I always think of that because it was here in Kansas City, and I was like, man, that was really good. And we were like eye to eye. Anyhow, I digress. Yeah, things suck. Everything's the worst right now. You know what I mean? It's hell. But I started. It is. But
All
I
of life is
started-
pain, as they say.
Yep, life is pain. You know who always says that?
I
The
think it's
pastor
Buddha that
who,
said- I don't know.
well, the pastor who married me. Married me and Emily. He's like, life is pain. He said that as we walked up. He goes, remember, this is a union ship or something like that. Because but life is pain. And I was like, yeah.
Glad you brought that up, because I just got another email that I get yearly, and I forget every time. I'm an ordained minister, Tom. So if anybody needs to get married, call me, I guess.
Yeah. God
Look
damn,
what you
I
can
look
look
like
what you
shit.
can get on the internet. You know what I mean? Look what you
Well,
can
yeah,
find.
that's true. I will say one thing that has been helping me. I write now on Substack, so you can hang out on our Substack because we can share the thing. You can go to mine. I will say I'm working on a non-wrestling related topic. So the first three have been Eddie Kingston, Swerve, and Adam Page, and then Hangman is the best of all time. Those were the first three, but the next one
Awesome
won't be
articles.
wrestling. Thank you.
Awesome
It's
articles.
it really is helping me talk better, because I realized going into 2025, I was like, I just say fuck and shit and fart a lot. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I need to use different words.
But those are
and,
impactful words. I mean,
I know.
we know what you mean when you say that.
I agree. Here's, you know what? Side conversation before we get into the real show. There was a conversation that I was listening to, and the two gentlemen that were talking, one of them was like, hey, you know what's difficult is when you cuss, it loses its meaning. And what he brought up was when David Ortiz, after the Boston Marathon bombing, got on the microphone, he's standing on the pitcher's mound, he goes, this is City and everyone went nuts, you know? But when LeBron's like, yeah, we played like shit last night, like you're just flippantly kind of, you know, you got to use it for top shelf moments. I'm not going to do that, but it's an interesting thought, right? Like, I just always cuss. I always cuss.
Yeah. That's how I talk. You know, it took me a long time coming out of the military to adjust to not cussing. And I still don't think because that is, there were people with a lot of shiny things on their collars throwing a fuck and a shit and a god damn it. You know, like it is the lexicon there. And so it was tough trying to hold down any kind of professional job until I got a good decade removed from that. So, yeah.
Yeah. My two biggest write-ups in elementary school, and my mom, I think, still has the report cards, was talks too much, cusses too much.
Yeah.
Always on there.
Yeah. I was the son of a cop. Right. Then
well, yeah,
the military.
Yeah.
It was over. It was over. Yep. It was over. But Tom, we're here to talk about wrestling. And I also want to talk about, again, the folks in the chat, right? We got Wrestling with Neurodivergence podcast, Troubles with Weekly Wrestling podcast. Anybody else joining in? Each week we do this Thursday nights, usually a little bit later than this, but, you know, just pay attention to allelitewrapup.com. If you subscribe there completely free, you'll get about one email a week saying, hey, we're going live tonight, right? And then, you know, then you can join in. You can chat live with us. We'd love to hear you. We'll talk to you throughout the show. And all hail the powerhouse fig, says Troubles with Weekly Wrestling podcast. If you're listening back on the podcast, you could see what Tom's doing over there, right? He's holding up a Powerhouse Hobbs figure, which, by the way, can't wait to talk about Powerhouse Hobbs. All of that is to say, talk to us, right? We need friends. We want friends. This show works best when we got a community of sickos that really love all elite wrestling, right? Put our arms around it, right? Put our arms around it in a non-creepy way. I mean, unless
consensual.
You know, it's consensual, yeah, you know.
Yes.
So Tom, hey, I'm excited to announce, Tom. You know what it is?
No.
We got an Ash Hendricks call. I thought you knew.
Hey, I don't know anything. I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. You know what I mean?
Senior European correspondent is back. Let me find it here real quick.
Well, while you're doing that, speaking of our friends over in Europe, friend of the show, Adam Pearson, A Different Man, the movie that he co-stars in, the other gentleman that he is in the movie with, Sebastian Stan, who is the main character, won a Golden Globe for Best Male Actor in a film, I guess. I don't know how they say it. And usually if you win the Golden Globe, you're going to win the Oscar. And people, I sent you the article, people are starting to say now, hey, what about that Adam Pearson? Maybe he deserves.
I think that was Guardian. They said, like, okay, now that we had the Golden Globes, like, I think they mentioned 4 people who should have gotten something, and they mentioned him very specifically and how great of a job he did, which
great
is
guy.
Awesome dude.
Yes.
Longtime fan of us from going back way back in the day. Day one, probably. He might have listened to the very first one, if I'm being honest. And that is really cool. Miss having you around, Adam. I know you're a super busy jet setting celebrity. So you're here in spirit. We know that.
Yeah,
you know?
He's been in the chat a couple times. So, you know, that's been good.
Of course. And that's awesome. That's so fun. Just like we wish all of you, and again, go to allelitewrapup.com. All the links are there that you need. Join us on the Blue Sky. It's I think our last attempt at social media.
Yeah. Right? I'm not doing anything else after this. If we find out that Blue Sky is, if Blue Sky we find out is, ran by the worst people in, America and foreign countries, I'm just done. Fuck it. You're not getting
Elon by Blue Sky. We're like, God damn it. We got to get out of here.
I'm out of here. This is done. Yeah.
So, all right, let's get to Ash Hendricks.
Gentlemen, Happy New Year, international correspondent. Back in your life, back in your ears, back in your motherfucking hearts. My question to you guys is, who has the greatest pro wrestling autobiography? I say this because I just finished listening to John Moxley's autobiography via audiobook, and that might be a front runner. The first Jericho one was really good. Mick Foley's was really good. Steve Austin's was really good. And now I want to know what the boys think. And I also want to know what the Galaxy thinks. Wait, is that the name for the fans? Is that the name for the Wrapup fans? Is that the Galaxy? Did I just make that up? Yeah, what's everyone's favorite fucking book? Alright, so.
Tom, I'm excited to hear your answer because flat out, you have read a lot more, not even just wrestling books than I have in recent years. And I now have like just very recently been like, I need to start reading again, especially now that I'm like, I got to get off of this social media and looking at fucking news. And so I'm going to start reading more books, but I know you're going to have a lot more options here to choose from. The last one I did read was the Daniel Bryan one that you loaned me and had to ask me way too many times to get back. And then prior to that, I think it had been one of Jericho's books. And I mean, look, Jericho is an awesome writer, right? Maybe not the best person, right? But writes very well, right? In a very entertaining fashion. So that was good. The Daniel Bryan one, though, he's not the most, I say charismatic speaker, right? And that kind of shows in his writing, which I'm sure he did have some help with in that regard. But it was a much more like, I think, kind of cool, informative book in that way, right? A little less blow hard, look how cool I was kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So those are my two most recent examples. So, I mean, I don't know that I've got a best. I can just say, both of those were good. But I know you've read a whole slew of recently. Yeah,
definitely. First one, honestly, that does come to my mind is the Daniel Bryan one because of how interesting his life is. To your point, it's not going to be captivating with eloquent sentences or really profound, messages throughout the chapters or whatever. But it's a cool way. He kind of wrote it where he's going into WrestleMania 30, but how did he get here? Well, let's take a trip back and he went through this. But like he's not dead, obviously. He has such an interesting life. The idea that he lived in an apartment with Shinsuke Nakamura and Lyoto Machida. If you don't know who Lyoto Machida is, fucking Google that guy. He's a bad motherfucker. He also drinks his own pee, which I think is weird, but hey, do what you want. But that he lived in an apartment with him, that he, what was it the Kane and him started doing? They started like sun tanning their butthole or something. Remember that?
Oh, the butthole sunning. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't do that? Everybody does that.
Hey, do whatever you want. So here's also the hardest part about answering that question is, for example, Hogan's second book is really good. It starts off with post-divorce and him
I remember
saying
that
he was
going to
kill himself, and then Layla Ali calls. But here's the thing. Was it fucking true? Like, I don't mean to, but you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, he's not.
He's a storyteller, right? As is Jericho, right?
Yeah. So it was good, but I think if I read it now in 2025, I'd be like, no, that was bullshit.
Yeah.
That didn't
happen. There is some of that in that book where it's, so there I was, gun in my mouth.
Yeah.
And the phone rings and it's like, yeah. Sure, the timing was a little there.
The other one that I like, and again, this might be a little of a gas bag as well. Ric Flair's autobiography was very, very good. I like that.
Man, Ric Flair though feels like one of those where like you're like, all right, gas bag, I get it, and then everybody will corroborate every story, and you'll be like, God damn, I'm Ric Flair.
Well, I think he's a little bit of like, hey, did you know last night? It's like, don't say that, man.
I know. In fact, he's toning the stories down. People are like, oh, that isn't even the half. He's trying not to get in trouble.
Right. The one that I need to read is the Becky Lynch one. I've heard that one was pretty good. It recently came out. And I started to read it, and look, everyone, you can judge me. I don't care. But it was just so hard for me to get through. Was Bret Hart's. Bret Hart. I started it.
Yeah, we're not in the Bret Hart is the greatest of all time clan.
Well,
right?
he is.
I know, but we aren't. For anybody unaware, we're not there, right?
Yeah.
I argued one time he might be top 15 at best, and you had a good laugh at that.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, 10 years removed from that, I definitely don't even think he might be top 15 now if I was re-ranking. Back then, I think I might have been generously putting him in there, but now I don't think I'd put him in there. But, it's neither here nor there. The chat here, both the pods out there, brought up Foley's book, which I think he's written a couple, but I know, those are good too. I did read those a while back. Those are really good. He's another one, though, where it's kind of like, did you really say exactly that? Right? Like, it sounds really polished, right? Now, he's witty. He's a super witty guy. And I mean, we met him.
Yeah, very, very witty. I just think, and this is recency bias, but I just think the authenticity and rawness of Moxley's book is what puts it up there, because there was no, like, it was so many things of like, I don't know. I had it because this movie rocks. Don't you think the movie rocks? Now, I didn't listen to the autobiography. I might want to do that because I just read it. The autobiography might even make it higher because he's
have to check this one
intense.
out. I know you had told me to read it when you read it because it was right. It came out right about the time.
It came out the week that I was just referencing the CM Punk speech. Yeah, he was supposed to be here. He was supposed to do an autograph signing. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he canceled. But yeah, that's the week it came out. Right. But yeah, there you go. I think.
And if we're forgetting any, hit us up in the chats, the Wrapup@gmail.com. This is a great conversation to have. I need to read more. And, if I'm interested in wrestling, I guess read some wrestling stuff.
Also, that just came to my mind because I got a gift card from my work because, don't give me a raise, give me a fucking gift card. Anyhow,
was it for a pizza place? That would be even worse. Not even the pizza party. Here's a gift card to Pie 5.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But Terry Funk has an autobiography. I want to get that. That's the one I was.
Okay.
If you've read Terry Funk's, hit us up in the chat. If you're in there now, or send us I want to know your review on it because it's Terry Funk.
So
you know what I mean?
It's Terry Funk. So what I know didn't happen is Terry Funk ain't sitting down in front of a typewriter. So that means somebody's he's transcribing thoughts and things to somebody. Can you imagine getting that gig?
Yeah. Jeez. I mean, that would also be kind of cool. It'd be like, this is so much information. What do I do with it? Because he ain't going to stop. You know what I mean?
Another chat member here. Fuck your mama 2 times. Good evening, wrestling family. Shouts to WWND. Shouts to TWWW. Shout out Ash, our international correspondent. Especially shout out to the best tag team since Public Enemy. And, Ash also said the Galaxy. Look, I don't know if we've got a name for exactly just the fans of the All Elite Wrap-Up, but I think sickos is a term that's sort of begin to stick around for this sort of the folks that are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not specific. Yeah, it's not specific to us, but if you say you're a sicko, then you're probably one of us. You get what I'm saying?
You might be inclined to be here, right?
Right, exactly.
If you're here, you might be a sicko. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh, I like that.
We're that kind of little circle, maybe almost completely in that Venn diagram, but maybe there may be a few hanging around, but I don't think they stick around too long,
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about last night's AEW Dynamite. It was on TBS and streaming on Max.
What do you watch it on?
I watch it on, I watched the first one on Max. Picture was better. It was really clear.
Picture's a lot better.
Yes. I watched it on TBS last night because when I watched it on Max, I was like, there's no picture in picture. So I wanted to know if that was the case on TBS. If they had changed it. Is
that just a TBS exclusive thing and they can't replicate that? Or what's the deal?
I would imagine it has to do with advertising, right? Hey, we're going to sell this, but if you ain't buying the Max part, then we ain't going to show it on Max.
So that's what I come, right? Maybe they'll see if they can roll it out. Yeah. But you could, but you could just throw up Max commercials up there while you're.
You would think, yeah. I
was watching a game on ESPN Plus the other night, and for half the commercial, they're just showing a blank picture, and it's just music, and I'm like, you guys have the third down brought to you by Hyundai, and you don't sell anything here. Not that I'm asking for more commercials, but weird decisions some people make.
Yeah, definitely. I also watched it on TBS because my wife was interested in the Bucks game last night. We're big basketball fans over here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, flipping back and forth, which. All right.
I watched Max last 2 weeks, but I do miss the picture-in-picture a little. I'll say that.
And we're going to get to Dynamite. One thing, though, I had to say, because of my thought that came there, is we watched it on TBS because we were going to flip back and forth, watch a little of the Bucks, catch up on Dynamite if I missed anything kind of thing, right? You can't do that on Max, obviously, right?
The streaming, that's what you mentioned about the Netflix and the...
Yeah, so, this is why... Just objectively, I'm not saying it because I think the company's evil, which they 100% are, because you're booing Hulk Hogan, not knowing that the fucking company's in bed with Hulk Hogan. But I digress. I don't know how they're going to keep viewers at the rate that they were on USA when it's Monday Night Football season. You're not going you can't go back and forth from a Netflix app to then go back into, I'm making it up, Hulu, then find the channel, then watch it, and then go, okay, and then out of that, and we'll back to Netflix. And then you're not going to do that. So I think there's going to be people, especially if it's a in your market kind of game, where you're going to watch Raw on Thursday. So I don't think those numbers are going to really
So
flush
for
out like they
me,
think.
I am not always watching it live each week, right? I've been able to a little more consistently lately, but sometimes I just don't get that opportunity, or I've just got other things going on, and so I will watch back later. And I think for that reason, I'll probably do the Max, because even when there was picture-in-picture, I was skipping through that on those, right? I'm not like watching those when I'm watching back on demand, right?
Right.
So I'll probably utilize Max a little bit more often than not, I think.
I like it. Well, again, that picture was outstanding.
The picture's great.
And one thing that I did last week when I did watch it on Max is afterwards I was like, I want to see what a 2019 episode looked like. And so I just watched a little bit of a 2019 episode just to, compare where we've been.
Yeah, I've done some watching some of the special events, right?
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, I remember that.
All right, so let's talk about last night's Dynamite. It took place in the granddaddy of them all, the F&M Bank Arena in Clarksville, Tennessee. Obviously, you all know where that's at on a map. And it kicked off
Took the last train there one time. Man, that's God damn.
And it kicked off with the House of Blacks. Buddy Matthews, we'll talk about that after the match ends here.
Yeah, is there a House of Black? Is that a thing?
Versus the aerial assassin, Will Ospreay. And man, I tell you what, I said this on Blue Sky, I'll say it here. These two win the award for best looking getting off the bus, right? The looking off the butt way. You're throwing me off here.
Fuck your mama 2 times said I hate the intro. I think they should change the music to Red Man's Time for Some Action. And man, that would be the coolest goddamn thing. Yes.
For Dynamite? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about ours.
No,
like,
back to no.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do that. But
by the way, Red Man's new album. You heard that? It's good shit.
No,
Muddy
I didn't
Waters
even know
2.
he had one.
Yeah, Muddy Waters 2. Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
Hey. Yep. All right. Well, again, if we're going to do plugs real quick, listen to Conductor Williams, his newest album. He's got Wale and
get your plugs in the chat. Let's go.
Yeah, go on. Let's talk about it. Anyhow, all right. So we got Buddy Matthews, Will Ospreay. They're going to do all the flips, all the stuff. I will say this was not, they could have, if they wanted to, gone really flippity. I feel like they kind of contained what they could have done.
Yeah.
They restrained themselves as far as that.
Flippity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good match. I will say also, I know he's called the aerial assassin, Will Ospreay, but I feel like Will Ospreay is doing better, not mat wrestling as far as like submission, but like
it's a more well-rounded
kind of,
right? Yeah. It's not just now I go up here and do a triple spinning over your ball sack plancha dive, right? For no reason, right? Like I think it's a good blend now of sort of that where we always said the before we got a little bit more introduced week to week to the Young Bucks, where we used to call it this kind of hold your hand wrestling, right? Where I'm going to hold your hand while I go up to the top rope and I'm going to bounce on my ass and jump off while you just hold my hand watching the whole time and never yank me down and never try to fight back. So I think a lot of that is gone from the Will Ospreay thing that we're getting now, right? And it's a little bit more, it's contained sort of in this ring, but when I need to hit you with a powerful move with some gravity involved, well, I'm going to do that.
Definitely. So Will Ospreay, again, with Buddy Matthews here, they have a "This is awesome" chant. They have an AEW chant. They have all the fun chants that you expect. Will Ospreay wins this match, and this is when I kind of said it with a question. Afterwards, Will Ospreay gets on the microphone and, paraphrasing here, is essentially saying, hey, I'm one of the best. You took me to my limit. If you wanted to, you could be a single star or you could be a tag star with Brody King. Keep that in mind. You're pretty cool on your own. And then was like left. Now they went for a handshake. Buddy Matthews kind of did the wrestling, look both ways kind of thing. Shook his hand. An exclusive on AEW's social media, he does a quick interview, Buddy Matthews that is, and he essentially says, hey, didn't start off 2025 like I wanted to, but what you said, Will Ospreay, didn't fall on deaf ears. So with all that being said, what do you make of this?
Man, because we don't hear typically, and I haven't been looking online, I don't know what you are, we don't really do the whole dirt sheets, who's signing where and what all this time. So like, I don't know the status of Malachi Black, right?
Okay.
So it's hard to say, I know what's going to happen here, right? So the questions become, is this because now we're going to set up Malachi Black versus Will Ospreay and do a little thing, right? Now House of Black is against him, and or both of this breaking apart of House of Black, right? Maybe that leads to that, or maybe Malachi is just gone and this is our way to be like, you guys should get away from him. And they're like, you're right, right? So I think anywhere within that realm kind of happens, right? I wish, though, we did get this sort of Will Ospreay, Malachi Black. I like what we did with Hangman and Swerve, right? We created a feud that didn't necessarily have to have a title involved, right? These guys can kind of have a rivalry in a match that has a storyline independent of just, I'm the best flippy wrestler, right? Like it's, all right, right? So if we can get him to like, now a creepy guy is trying to disappear him in the boiler room, right? I like that idea, right? So I'm hoping it's something like that, right? And or he, in his heelish tactics also upsets Buddy and Brody and they finally leave him, right? That could be involved in that too. What do you think's going on?
So I'll give you a couple scenarios. If Malachi Black is gone, whatever, the news says this, I think it would be cool if Buddy Matthews and Brody King were still associated adjacently. So it's not, we're a tag team, we're going to kick your ass. It's Buddy Matthews is in trouble. He needs someone here to save him. Brody King comes out.
We don't live in the same house anymore, but we're brothers.
Right. And the other thing is, I think what would be cool is when it's called for, not like the demon where Finn Balor did it, but when it's called for, if like Brody King walked out like this out on his own, like, you remember what I could have fucking did to people? Well, I'm going to do it tonight. I think that would be cool, is if they could always reference back to, we used to murder people, right?
Yeah, like,
but now
I
we're
dabble in the
X,
dark arts, fool.
Exactly.
Don't get caught up.
And then here's the other thing. Because he mentions if you want to do a tag, the tag team division is in desperate need of some new blood.
It's true.
Brody King, Buddy Matthews wouldn't be the
a
worst
good
thing in the
answer
world.
to the meat team of the murder machines, right?
Murder machine. Yeah. And now let's take that conversation and move it into the next part of the show. We get a private party championship victory celebration. Took a little bit of our idea, so thanks for listening, AEW.
A little bit, but they need to ramp it up. There needs to be 20 plus people partying every time we see these dudes.
We need, like, the best way that I was going to describe what they need as far as an energy level is the Rosebuds.
Yeah.
Remember how
I think we said this, a much cooler Rosebuds, right? Like, not just everybody's in weird Mardi Gras costumes, but like, you know what I mean? Posse, right? Entourage, if you will.
Well, it could be different people at every city. Yeah. But it's
that's what I mean. It needs to be an 20 plus. I feel like it needs to feel like an actual party. If I was like, what's going on in there? Right. Mm-hmm. When I see 6-8 people hanging around, I'm not. Yeah. That's a meeting, man.
Yeah.
That's not.
And again, just small little details that I think would have made the segment better. Have the girls in this case already there. Don't walk with them and then we just get behind a red carpet. Have the party there, and then private party walks in and he's like, yeah, you're in here. And then when XYZ person tries to get in, you can't come in, right? That's what I think would make it better. But I digress. It was still cool to do a private party celebration. Now,
another thing we could get with them is seeing them getting into a bunch of things that others can't, right? Like, let's say there's some other AEW wrestlers trying to get into like this nightclub, and they're like, "No, you ain't on the list." And private party walks up, and they don't even look at the list. They just kind of do a cool hand slap, and you know what I mean? And walk in, they're like, "What? They're on the list?" And they'd be like, "You know what I mean?" I'm like, "It doesn't matter if they're on the list. You ain't on the list."
Yeah, easily you could have done that, or you still could do that with like the Undisputed Kingdom if they're in line to get into the club.
Yes.
Look, hey, and then the private party.
Yes, like, that would expose the differences in what cool means to people, right? Because like, they'd be like, "We're the Undisputed Kingdom, Adam Cole, baby," and they're like, "You are not getting in this club." And then private party walks on like nerds, and just see ya. Seems easy.
Yeah, that would be fun. But here we go. We get this championship celebration. They're talking their trash, right? Not trash, but they're talking themselves up.
This. Yeah.
Yeah. They said that they went into Charlotte as champs. They left Charlotte as champs. And how about we celebrate? Oh,
Didn't they also say
And
like we're the first to simultaneously
Yeah,
defend
yeah.
on TBS?
Hey,
and
they
Max or
were.
something? Good,
Yeah.
good line.
Yeah. So they start saying the next thing
Mhm.
that we're going to do on the celebration is, then the Hurt Syndicate's music
Mm-hmm.
hits. Somebody's about to die. I love that part. The part in the song where I'm like, oh, is when West Side Gun goes, somebody's about to die. And you're like, oh, they
hurt
are.
people.
Yeah. And MVP's like, hey, we want a party. And Zay's like, oh, they're cool. Let them in.
Yeah.
Right. So then they walk in. I was wondering, time out real quick. I was wondering if the security guard was going to like go chest to chest with like MVP.
Right, like not allow them in. Like this is a private party over here.
Right.
Right.
I was wondering what
his
role was going to be, because he could have, right? You could have been like, no. And then
because private party could have even been like, no, you guys are a little underdressed. Right? And so they're like, excuse me? What the fuck?
Right.
Yeah.
But so they get in. MVP's like, hey, we want a party. And MVP then goes, hey, let's do a toast. And so they all get the fucking shots or whatever, right? And he goes, to the defending tag team champs, and to Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, to the Hurt Syndicate. And then Bobby Lashley misses the microphone. It's kind of like this. He kind of is like, and then we're going to take the titles. Like, it wasn't, but it wouldn't. He goes, we're going to take the tag team titles. Zay and Quinn are like, huh? What?
Yeah.
What?
Like, why?
And
why would you do that?
And then Bobby Lashley, being the coolest guy in the room, was like, all right, well, now I got to go beat someone up. So before we get into the match, what'd you make of Hurt Syndicate says we want them titles?
One thing that stuck out to me, and I think I said this on the Blue Sky, is that fucking MVP is the smoothest motherfucker around, isn't he? Like that dude is just slick. Like he's just like, when I think of the word smooth, right? Like MVP he's just always smooth, right? Like he's not getting too rustled, right? But he's always got a plan. He's got some shit going. And I love the character, right? I love it a lot. And I like how you could tell, right? Like they weren't in on it yet, but we all knew like MVP's about to shit all over this party. And he's you're just hanging on every word. Love that. I like that. Look, Bobby Lashley, I feel like, is a main event player, right? And you can use him in that role whenever you need to. But if you're not planning on doing that now, then yeah, why not have him and Shelton Benjamin wrecking tag teams?
Yeah, I think one, it's great that the Hurt Syndicate finally has direction, because after Swerve Strickland, they were kind of just hanging out, right? Like, right. So now, hey, we have a mission statement. It's this. We're going to do that. Two, if you want to put the belts on the Hurt Syndicate, right? Again, another
too, right?
Yeah,
like
another great looking getting off the bus, right? Like boom. Three, I think will help Private Party, because now they can be the true underdogs. Because look at Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. They can play, because like when you're the underdogs against the Young Bucks or the EVPs, it's more of a history status thing. We've accomplished this, so you can't do that, right?
Right.
But when it's we're bigger than you, anyone can be like, oh yeah, no, Bobby Lashley is going to kill these two guys, right? So that I think helps Private Party's underdog kind of thing. And then last thing I'll say is, assuming that the Hurt Syndicate win the championship titles, man, you do Hurt Syndicate versus the remaining members of House of Black. You do Hurt Syndicate versus Murder Machine. You do the Hurt Syndicate versus Private Party. You do the Hurt Syndicate versus the returning EVPs. I mean, you got a tag team division.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I like that. All right. So then Bobby Lashley, as I mentioned.
Theo in the chat says, glory to the greatest wrestler, the chosen one, Jeff Jarrett. And calm down. We'll talk about him. But.
You know what you did there, Theo.
It's like, Theo, you know what you did.
You know what you did. So we get Bobby Lashley versus Mark Briscoe. And Mark Briscoe's, if you play that music, he's going to dance. He always likes to fight, but he gets his ass kicked. Bobby Lashley just throws him around, wears him like a hat, dog walks him and then pins him, or actually doesn't pin him. He gets him in the hurt lock, goes unconscious.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley's your winner. What'd you think of the impressive status of Bobby Lashley?
Just that. I mean, that's it's easy to buy, right? Looks good on TV. Bobby Lashley. Now, what you can't do is do that every week, right? Like, that's where a trope I think WWE used to fall into. Like with Braun Strowman, it was, we did this 8 weeks in a row with a different schmuck in every town, right? But,
well, I also think it's interesting that it was Mark Briscoe, because Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, true. This wasn't just a jobber either. This is a guy.
Right. Yeah. This is a guy that, has some wins. He beat Kyle Fletcher. I think it was he beat
Very
Kyle
recently.
Fletcher 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Continental Classic as well.
Yeah.
I agree. I think next week or whenever we decide to see them again, they need to be a tag team. Then we need to see Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin beating people up. Because that was one thing I thought they probably should have done, right? We're going to win the tag titles. Well, then now we're the tag team and we're going to go beat up. Yeah. Who's those guys that like tits? Remember them? The like, they go, those guys.
What they call themselves now. They were Bear Mountain, right? And then they
but now
else
the
or something
Boulders
like
or something like that.
Know.
They beat up them.
Yeah.
And then
what'd you call that? You were like, you're like, it's an inside joke that's not funny or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an inside joke that no one else cares about. Like, fucking stop. We don't.
Iron Savages. There we go. Darren K3 and Wrestling with No Divergence Pod. And like that shtick was over after the first time I saw it. I felt like,
Yeah. But I think if they would have beat them up as an example, then it's like, well, we're a tag team. Because the next thing like I mentioned, we need to see them as a tag team winning.
Right.
Definitely. That would work. Now let's get into the fun. I thought this was the funnest thing of the night. I personally would have closed with this, but I'm not booking the shows yet. We get
Tony.
the world. Tony, come on.
No, you're
the
listening.
World Title Contenders Casino Gauntlet match. And it kicks off with
rolls right up the
Switchblade, Jay White. And he's the first guy, right? So boom, that's what he got. Well, guess who's number 2? Oh, it's that cowboy shit time. Hangman Adam Page walks out and you go, ho, ho, ho. We got some fireworks.
And they go
and boy, do we. I
think that was actual audio if you're listening back later.
Yeah. And we get some fun here. So those two guys enter in. Willer Yuta, who sucks, he goes out there, he gets his ass kicked, which is fun. And then we get the moment of the night, I thought. So Hangman dispatches Yuta and Jay White. He's standing there in the ring. Next person, we do the countdown, and then we hear whose house? And I was like, oh, we're doing it. I stood up. I was like, we're doing it. And then you hear, I don't even know what he said, but then he ended it with and I was like, mother.
What was it? The Jada Kiss laugh is what we were saying that was?
Which
is a great touch. If he added that full time to his thing, we don't got to do the swerve fake music, but like if that kicks off his music every time, even better. I love this new thing. I had mentioned on Wrestling with No Divergence podcast that Ricochet should have brought those scissors and cleaned Yuta up a little bit. That dude looks homeless.
Yes. Yeah. He definitely looks like he needs shelter during a snowstorm.
A little bit. Set him straight.
Or maybe the Death Riders are like, you grow that out until we accept you in this group. Because again, it feels like Yuta's not 100% in, right? It feels
this is his ISIS era.
You're getting in. Yeah. I'm just so we get the swerve, I guess pun intended, that it was Ricochet, not Swerve Strickland. And Ricochet goes in there and he looks good, right? Like he's doing the springboards and the bum. So we get these guys wrestling for a while. One thing that I did like about the match is it wasn't consistent on when they came in. It could be like 2 minutes. It could be 5 minutes, just whenever we want. I think that's good because sometimes you're like in like the Royal Rumble, you're like, we're kind of standing around. Let's do it now. Boom. Okay, cool. The next guy that comes in is Adam Cole. And I thought this was really cool because Adam Cole has history with every single guy so far in the match. Obviously, Jay White, Bullet Club, all of that stuff. Obviously, Hangman, when Hangman was champion, Adam Cole challenged for the championship. Also, it was referenced as, I guess, Adam Cole got Hangman into the group, but I don't know Bullet Club history, so whatever. And then he's got that amazing super kick on Ricochet when Ricochet did the backflip in NXT and whop, caught that motherfucker in the air. And I thought that was cool. What did you think about at this point of the match? Adam Cole,
Same
Hangman,
thing.
all the stuff.
I just thought, much like I'd been saying about the Continental Classic this year, I'm like, man, they stepped this like Casino Gauntlet up. Like this is folks that kind of hover, right? Like these aren't just mid-card dudes. These are folks that you can see plugged into main event roles.
Well, speaking about that, we get our first champion in the match, Daniel Garcia, the TNT champ, as that is. He goes in there and he starts wrecking house, right? He's bop-a-doom, bop-a-doom, bop-bop-bop.
Yeah.
And then the one criticism I'll have, and someone still needs to explain this to me. Please send in an audio clip or write us something. Matt Menard can't just be the cheerleader.
He's his exclusive commentator.
Yeah.
They don't call him his manager. He doesn't walk out with him. He does not book his matches. Right? He doesn't book his travel, it seems. He literally comes out to commentary only to commentate his match.
Daniel Garcia. Danny, we got to be doing this. The plan, Danny, is this. It's like, now last night, I think he did the entire
He did that entire match, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I think he did the entire show.
Oh, was he on the whole show? Well, because they had Ian Riccaboni. Oh, and then Excalibur. And then it was Daddy Magic. That's true. Yeah.
But we also, even if it was Taz out there, for example, Matt Menard would have also been out there as we've been continuing this thing.
Here's the thing that I know, though. Every time we don't get the Daniel Garcia dance is a time I'm upset about that.
Yeah, here's the suggestion from me. I don't know. I'm just a wrestling fan. Cut the fucking Daniel Garcia has a dad in AEW with Matt Menard and get him back to being fucking cool.
Daddy Magic is Danny Garcia's father. Here in the chat.
It's weird.
It is weird. And look, I love Daddy Magic, but just keep him on commentary then. That's where he's good at. He's good at this. Or make him a manager for somebody. Make him his manager and let him talk for him. That's fine too. He's awesome. He's a very funny guy. Yeah, and he's very annoying. He's got a very punchable face, right, for the character. Like, let it happen.
Yeah, but I just don't like it. It's so weird. It feels like it feels like an overprotective father watching his son play t-ball. Hit the ball, Danny. It's like,
this feels like, whenever we hear wrestling interviews and some of these wrestlers are too into the meta of the wrestling industry, right? And they want to talk too much about like the young boys that they had or whatever. And it's like, that's what it feels like, right? It feels like this is his prison bitch that he's keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
Very weird.
Yeah.
But he's in there. He's wrecking shop. And then we get some meat. Powerhouse Hobbs goes in there.
Every time I see Hobbs, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's fucking. Yeah, I think how you felt with with the king of the shit, right?
No, you didn't feel like this. You don't feel like this. You don't feel like this.
Maybe I haven't.
Maybe
we did meet Hobbs. That's true. I did not bump him in the chest and be like, I like that energy. You, however. That is one of the greatest moments of my life, is witnessing the chest bump Nick Gage and being like, I love that energy. Give him a fucking low five. And still flexing, and still doing the, like, gave him the low five back. And he was like, I like your energy.
Gang affiliated.
Good times. To rewind the clock.
MDK motherfuckers. This is what I think of with Powerhouse Hobbs. Awesome look. Believable in the sense of everyone is fucked in the match, and also the smoothest hands of any person I've ever shook hands with. God, that was amazing.
Also, very definitive mean snarl, right? Like, he looks like he's disgusted and ready to murder you fast because of how disgusted he is, right? Yeah. That's your solace, is at least this might go quickly for you.
So he's in there. He's wrecking shop. He's power slamming. He's doing his powerhouse shit. Roderick Strong runs out there. Fine. Then whatever. Like, He's fine. He is a good wrestler.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, he's
Should have stuck with the neck
less
strong. Really should have kept leaning into that. Should have really leaned into that.
Because, so, and then Kyle O'Reilly then also
that can
shows
move.
up.
Then it can be arm strong. So like it can just always move. Foot strong. Come on, this
the two things. One, I don't think he's a good baby face. Same with Kyle O'Reilly. I don't think they're good baby faces. And two, one of them has to be Dean Malenko, because they both don't have personalities that are interesting. So one of them has to be like, I'm like Shibata almost, but Shibata's cool. Like, I'm the wrestler. You know what I mean? Because like,
remember when I was saying about those guys over here that like seem way too meta into the wrestling industry and like talk about young boys? These are the guys that come to mind.
Terry Funk didn't wear no mouthpiece. Kyle O'Reilly. And then we get a Haas fight. This was fun. So next up, the Murder Hawk monster Lance Archer comes in there.
This is another moment of the night.
Yeah, Archer and Powerhouse Hobbs, standing on opposite sides of the ring, just decide to throw Ricochet at each other.
Well, so I don't even think Hobbs did it, and then was like, and everybody was like, meet, and he's like, yeah, and then Archer's like, okay, but first, let me show you that I can do that too. Because even Hobbs was like, I mean, okay. Like, let's do this. I kind of wanted them to do it back and forth a few more times, right?
Yeah.
Because the selling that we would have got from that would have
Ricochet did this awesome. Stood up like he didn't know where he was. Maybe he actually didn't. Took the bumps. Amazing. Yeah, this was a fun part of the match. But let's fast forward. We get down to the end of it. Oh, actually, no, there is one thing we got to talk about. Jeff Jarrett walks out, but before he can even get the match, Yuta takes him out, which is fine with me.
Yeah. Thanks, Yuta.
Well,
I didn't expect you to do something cool tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about that. So, long story short here, Powerhouse Hobbs wins, and he's the
which
fucking
surprised
man.
Me.
Yes. And he does an in-ring interview with Renee Paquette, which Renee is so fucking fantastic. She's the greatest.
She's really good.
I love Mean Gene.
I knew that from day one when she was in WWE. I was like, wow, this is a polished, like, this is good. This is good talent.
Mean Gene is a special place in my heart. He also did amazing things, but Renee with just her facial selling of things. So what I'm getting at here is Hobbs is like, hey, let's shoot for a second. The person who got me into AEW was Powerhouse Hobbs, which if you go back to pandemic era AEW, it was Moxley who brought in Powerhouse Hobbs. But then he says, but next week, I'm going to make Moxley my bitch. And that's where I was getting at with Renee, because then she's like, motherfucker, really? My husband? Okay. And just like walks off.
Yeah, she's built that, like you said, Gene Okerlund, that kind of like, all right, like I don't have to pretend, right? I don't have to mask around these folks, right? Like, because I'm not getting fired because you have a problem with me, right? Like, so I can shit talk a little.
But she always stays consistent with Moxley. Even when Moxley's brought up for doing dastardly things, she's like, yeah, I'm not happy with it. Or when someone like Hangman is like, I'm going to kill him, she's like, I don't want that.
Well, yeah, when it's like, okay, like I'm trying to keep professional here, man. I didn't come up and say my husband, John Moxley, like leave it alone, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so we get old Powerhouse Hobbs talking that shit next week at
flexing that shit.
Capital Carnage. What is it called? Rampage Carnage? I forget the name of the show.
Yep, nailed it.
Yep, there it is. It's going to be Powerhouse Hobbs taking on the AEW World Champion, John Moxley. Look at that.
Now, I in no way think Powerhouse Hobbs is winning an AEW World title in this match. But
no.
Good spot for him. And I do think we need a little more to the Powerhouse Hobbs presentation, right? A little bit more still to come, I think, to make him really that star that I think he could be.
Can I tell you what I would do? Because we're going to hot shot it, right? It's next week. We don't got a lot of time to build this up.
Yeah.
I would do the match where Moxley walks out first. The Death Rider theme and everything is fucking spot on. The song is badass. The way they fucking just move around. Awesome. Love it. And we'll get to that in a moment too. But you would have, this is what I would do. You'd have Moxley come out. And he's like, yeah, and doing his like back and forth. Come on,
shrugging those
motherfucker.
shoulders,
Yeah.
right?
You know, I'm gonna beat your ass, you know. And then do the powerhouse. And you do, again, because it's the best version of Powerhouse Hobbs, make the fucking action figure of it. No fucking singlet. It's just normal fucking wrestling gear, mink coat, fur, fake fur. Let's all be serious.
Timberlands.
Timberlands, all that. You get the jeans torn up from 1998, and you just have him walking out.
Oh, I didn't hate. Now you probably don't want to wrestle it, but yeah, the one time he had the overalls on too, right? But he had like the 110 out, right? Yeah, yeah.
But I would have him slowly walking out. Again, you want to make him a star? Don't do the Okada money thing, but have something like that.
We don't need a warrior sprint to the ring here and shake the ropes. We need some smoothness. I know we're doing that a lot. Swerve does that. Hurt Syndicate does that. But like a lot of people are cool, right? Like somebody can't own being smooth and cool, right? Like
well, it's different versions for me because like
they are. Oh yeah, they all have their own unique way of doing it for sure.
Swerve to me, even though he says he's the most violent man, Swerve to me is everyone knows I'm the fucking guy. Yeah. With Powerhouse Hobbs, it feels like I'm here. Like you can't deny it, right? It's a different thing where it's like I may not be the best, but we're all looking
my big
at
ass.
Yeah,
I get big money, right? Like
right. But I would
big
have
fist, motherfucker.
I would have him be so. I would have Moxley like a caged animal, and then I would have Powerhouse Hobbs as relaxed and as calm.
Moxley's running up, hyena, and he's just fucking bang, slam Moxley off into this. Yeah, I mean, make him a strong, formidable giant. I agree with some of that.
And the thing that has to happen, please, Tony, I know you're listening. Please, Tony, have something for him afterwards. Don't just have Powerhouse Hobbs lose, and 3 weeks from now, then we see him again.
Yeah.
Have something.
I feel like he does need a focus, right? There has to be a reason for being, right? He's got to have a goal. And I think we need to spruce up the character a little, right? Like give him a look, right?
Or have him lose. He's, backstage with an ice pack on his neck or whatever. Have MVP walk up and say, hey, great match. Call me when you get a moment, and give him a card. Give
him a card. Yeah, man. I'm excited though. Powerhouse Hobbs. I like the guy. It's good.
I love him. He's the best. Smoothest handshake in the world. But someone who isn't smooth is Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett walks out all of a sudden now with like a towel over his shoulder as if he, I don't know, just did a couple wind sprints.
Can we talk though? Like the name of the color on the box of his hair dye can only be fake, right? Like it's not even blonde. It's just fake. That's the color. Fake. It's bad.
He's bad.
Yeah, well, he's bad.
Yeah, he's bad. Yeah.
I saw like the gray ends even. I'm like, Doc, your hair wouldn't look, it would look kind of blonde if you just left it that and like, just stop doing that.
He should just look at his action figure and be like, I'll go for that because that looks better than what I look like in real life.
His hair color looks like McDonald's French fries, man. That's weird.
Mm-hmm. Someone should do that. Ba-da-da-da-da. Fuck you.
Put some French fries. Yeah. All right.
So let's just get through it. Jeff Jarrett talking to Ian Riccaboni. He's like, I'm gonna be the man. MJF then comes out, and I thought this was interesting. He's like, hey,
took a different turn than I thought.
Here's the fun thing about the last ride. It only has 1 year. Pretty cool. And he says, you want to get back to the mountaintop or whatever, I will get you there. But if I do, you give me the first shot.
That's okay. And so that's heel work, and he's a shiesty dude, and I could see that. Like that's a good play. That's believable for the character.
But then Jeff Jarrett just goes, you know what I call you? Flavor of the month or whatever he says.
Which is bothersome because look, I know we did a face turn for Jeff Jarrett here. But Jeff Jarrett, for 95% of his successful career, was a heel, yes, right? Like he's a sleaze ball. I'm not talking Jeff Jarrett the man. We can say he's a sleaze ball in that, right? Like Jeff Jarrett, the wrestling character that we've known and seen for fucking 70 years now, has been a sleaze ball. He would have greedily accepted this arrangement.
Well, and that's what I thought would have been interesting. That would have been more fascinating for him to be like, yeah, let's take
way
you up
more
on that.
fascinating.
Because now MJF, so Jeff Jarrett's like,
maybe we still get there.
Potentially, but Jeff Jarrett's like, hey, I'm not going to do it. And then MJF
he went all
is
boomer, right? You fucking entitled to whatever, right? Like I've got, back when you were in diapers, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So silly. So he goes, I'm not buying what you're selling. You're a prick. And MJF is like, so, okay.
Who's heard that a million times? That would he be mad about it? That was an too, but
it's just also like,
well, it felt anticlimactic because now Jeff Jarrett's just walking out, the old man shrugging you off, and it was like, that's how we end this? Now, I guess there's more to be told, right? We're going to have a little program here. He's going to get the better of MJF, I guess, and we're going to believe Jeff Jarrett might have a chance.
That's my issue, is Jeff Jarrett here's what we need to stop doing, because AEW fans are a little bit smarter than WWE fans. It's just statistically proven. Sorry.
Those are facts, which you can't check now. So what are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
Deal with that.
It is actually a fact.
It's illegal to fact check now. Did you see that in the news? Can't do that. They'll throw you in jail for it.
Yeah. Fucking good. Have Jeff Jarrett be the grizzled veteran and be like, I'm not buying what you're selling, and go away. Cause I know that you're not just going to leave me alone. Like the idea that you just leave MJF alone after you say, get the fuck on.
You've wrestled the Steiners, you know, the Stings, the Ric Flairs, the fucking everybody, everybody in the WWE that you wrestled, right? Like all those folks, you know, none of those, you know, you start turning your back on people that were in there to shit talk you. I doubt it.
Well, and you know, next week or whenever it is, he'll come get you. So like, acknowledge it. I think that's what I'm saying, is acknowledge that. Don't start this with me. All right. I said no, now leave me alone. And you know, MJF isn't going to do it, but like, acknowledge it. That's all. All right, let's keep it going.
We get another. Wrestling says, oh, thank God the news can't be compromised. They're always so right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think this post fact checking world is going to be great for all of us.
Well, honestly, let's take a quick time out. We started that. Remember?
That's true. That was our gig, right?
That was our thing, you motherfuckers. So I don't know why you're coming in.
Well, I'm sorry, world. Apparently somebody saw how fun that gig was and decided to take it too far.
Yeah, jerks. I want my money.
What we meant is we're not fact checking like here right now. We implored you to do your own. You figure it out. Tell us later. We wanted you. We're trying to outsource the fact checking, not have it done.
Well, assholes. Zuckerberg, give me my cut. Don't fucking steal my ideas, you dickhead.
Yeah, we got some royalties. Gimmick infringement.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of gimmick infringement, because he can't say his fun name, we get the rated R superstar Cope.
Yeah, I don't know what it's not. They're gonna leave it, and so people are just gonna gradually accept it and say it, but like, it's not it, right?
I'll say what I said last week. When we introduce Jon Moxley, we say Jon Moxley, but when we call him out, we say Mox. Like, that's how you do it.
Yeah. Then you can use both, but you don't have to sound weird in some moments, right? When you're putting up on the marquee, it just sounds weird to be like Cope, because again, if you're not aware that his last name is Copeland, you think Cope, like deal with it? Like, is that what his name is? That's a weird name, you think. And if you do know that his last name is Copeland, well, then you're kind of like, why didn't you just add the one extra syllable? You're out of breath. Like, what are we talking about?
And
at least Edge was a word. I guess Cope is a word, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not.
But again, I'm saying we collectively, we gave the nickname Moxley Mox. We said it.
Yeah, we said it.
You can't say it about yourself.
When they first brought him out and they were like, this is Edge, I was like, that is a weird name, and I'm never going to just call a guy Edge. And that, I forgot about that after a while.
Yeah, but that's mysterious.
Again,
Cope
it was
is
a little
just
more
sad.
well, and yeah, it was a little more in line with what was cool in that generation in that time, right? The word edge was a little more
Meant
edgy
something.
and cool than Cope
Mhm.
is today. Like it just sounds like you know.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to what he said here. He goes, "Hey, you took out all the guys, Brian Danielson, you threw Darby down the stairs. We haven't seen Darby, but the thing that you really fucked up on is you hurt my friends, which shouldn't you just care about everyone? I don't know. That's me. So I'm gonna kick your ass." And then here's what I'll say. I think the crowd was a little flat for his promo. He identified it. So then he went 80s wrestler. Then we're fucking yelling, right?
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say. And chat, correct me if you think I'm wrong here, or later on, write us anything. Here's what I'm going to say for the guys like Adam Copeland, Chris Jericho, of the older generation.
Mm-hmm.
The AEW fan isn't casual. The AEW fan isn't the WWE fan who just goes, "Oh, boo," right? You've got to do a little bit more. We all will watch and be entertained from this promo, as an example, but we're not gonna fucking jump up and down.
Yeah, you won't get as easily that Pavlovian response, right? Of, I know if I ratchet it up, they're gonna feel it. Like, maybe not.
Well, it's just because we're a little bit older, the audience, we're a little bit older. We've seen the majority of wrestling, right? Like, let's be honest. So we don't fall into, like you said, he yells, I cheer. So you're going to have to figure it out, right? That's all I'll say. But with Copeland, he comes out there and he's like, I broke my leg.
You know where Copeland did better was when he shit on Ricky Starks and kind of stopped Ricky Starks' momentum for a little bit. Remember when he was kind of like, "Oh, you think you got jokes?
R.I.P.
Wrong."
Ricky Starks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've been around. I've heard, you know what I mean? I've heard better jokes than this, pal. Yeah. Now maybe that was a little ill-timed, right? It felt a little personal, but yeah. Yeah. So again, something like that there, right? Like maybe you switch up and go a little more MJF, less, you know.
Mm-hmm. Can't tell you a little secret.
Mm.
I think that's why Ricky Starks is gone.
Yeah, you think
I think Adam Copeland's like, fuck that guy. Because did we see him after?
Yeah, because I think it was from then on where everything just kind of went like, it was a hard red light for Ricky Starks after that moment.
Yep. But anyhow, let's talk about this. So he says, I broke my neck, broke my leg. I'm the fucking toughest. And then Moxley comes out. Moxley's like, oh, we're going to kick your ass. Cool part here. They come through. They're like, what's up, motherfucker? 3-on-1. And then FTR goes, just psych. Bop, bop, bop. They're hitting them. Hit. Right? Punch, punch, punch. We're fighting. We're having fun. And then the numbers go into the favor of Death Riders because Pac shows up.
Yeah, comes back to work. You know, he's on a semi-part-time schedule. Always has been.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah. You know, just like Takeshita recently a sign we saw, and he's going to be working for 3 different organizations. I think he might be one of those that, you know, he's a full-time AEW wrestler, but part of that is he is allowed to go fulfill dates. Some of these relationships that they have, that might take care of part of those, right?
Potentially. But yeah, it was interesting. Pac shows up.
Mm-hmm.
He gets into the advantage of Moxley. Moxley does the bulldog choke on Adam Copeland. And then we see the bag, which, see, we know what that means. So everyone starts to get up and is like, oh shit, are we going to see it, right? Gets the bag.
We haven't seen this.
Yeah. And then Paul Hobbs comes back out and he's like, bitch, you ain't going to fucking kill someone before I fight you. You ain't going to jail. I've got to fight you next week for that title. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like,
yeah, I'm not going to fucking now be first seed in a tournament or some stupid shit. It's you and me, pal.
Well, because I think maybe that's what he should have said. Got on the microphone like, you're not getting off easy by doing this shit and getting away with not fighting me next week. Me and
you're
you.
just trying to get arrested so you don't have to wrestle me next week. Right? Like that's what you should have said. You
Yeah.
little bitch.
Yeah, you little bitch. And so that's the end of the segment. Then we move on.
You know what I pointed out to you was, Copeland's Cope's thing was, he was like, so Moxley, what can you do to me that hasn't already been done? And my perplexing thought there, which I said to you, was, well, so what? If it's been done to you before, it sucked, right? Like, you didn't like breaking your neck, did you? What if I do that to you? Like, oh, it happened before. Okay.
Still hurts, buddy.
Yeah.
Still fucking hurts.
Good time.
Yeah. How are we feeling about Moxley Copeland? You liking it? You hating it?
Not really, because I again am not under any impression. And look, we don't have, like, we know what's happening, right? We know not every match is going to flip flop. Or like, I don't have to always know who's going to, or sometimes I'm going to know who's going to win, right? But there is just no like suspension of disbelief for me here, right? Cope's not winning this title over Moxley on this.
Counterpoint.
Unless maybe there was a contract that he has to have a title.
Well, no, not that. But let's not forget who has the cash in a title match whenever he wants. You have Copeland beat Moxley. Copeland's like, I'm finally the champion. Christian low blows him. Ha ha.
Doesn't have to be Christian. It's just champion. The Death Riders could attack him afterwards and be like, fuck you. You're right. He's laying there dead. And then Christian just kind of pokes his head out of the curtain and he's like, yep, it's time.
Can I tell you how I would do that?
Okay, now I want this to happen. Now I'm writing this down.
Can I tell you how I want it to happen? I want Copeland, bloody. They're going to get wild, right? It's going to be a fun match.
Make us think he broke his neck again, dead.
Moxley, Copeland, they're going to go wild. So let them go wild. Then Copeland wins.
Down some stairs.
Yes. Copeland wins. He's the champion. He goes to the second rope, like stands on the second rope, holds the title enough to get pictures, right? Champion. Yeah. That's then when Christian goes behind him, low blows him. He falls down, pins him. 1, 2, 3. He grabs the title, grabs the microphone, gets right into his face. Go fuck yourself. And then walks off.
Yeah. Or should tell him cope with that.
Yeah. But the go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
which
the
was
go
so
fuck
crazy.
Yourself would be great. That's an amazing idea.
That's what I would do. Another amazing champion we got though.
Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another amazing champion we got, Mariah May. She fucking is awesome. She's talking about next week's Casino Gauntlet match for the women. And it was like,
moment of the night, Tom.
Yeah. She's like, keep on fucking doing your shit. Well, guess who then shows up? Harley Cameron. She goes, hey, I got an idea. I think it's Collision, right? Collision, let's fight. And Mariah May's like, sure.
Hot girl graps.
Oh, yeah, that's what they call hot girl grabs. Yeah.
Yeah, because she was like, because we're both attractive, right? Sometimes. Like she's got her own little self-doubt in there. Harley Cameron working that character work.
Well, and my favorite part about it is so the hot girl grabs, which I did forget about. Thank you for that. But then they agree to the match, and Harley Cameron's like, you're going to feel the wrath.
Yeah.
What? You're going to feel the wrath. What? You're going to feel. And then like darts off.
Yes. She's so fun.
She's so fun, but so is Mariah May. Mariah May didn't look so good like
too. Yeah.
Out of place.
Man, Mariah May is the female version of what they wish Lex Luger was going to be, right? The looks, the wrestling, the talking, that, Luger had one of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because what I liked about, so Harley Cameron was the star, right? Harley Cameron, to use a WWE kind of example,
stole that moment.
Well, she was the Santino Marella, right?
Yes. Very good. Yeah. Very good.
But where it lost me sometimes with Santino is the person opposite him. Let's say it was John Cena, because he did it a couple times. Kind of just looked out of place, was like, I don't know. You're so okay. You're funny, but I don't know what to do here.
Yeah. Now I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Mariah May was like, oh, be funny, because I'm gonna fucking kill
exactly.
You. And it was like,
she's like, oh yeah, you're the jokester, right? You're the one who always got some funny fucking lines.
Yeah, and it was like, Feel the wrath. That's why I think she said it that way. She's like, feel the wrath.
She was scared. Yeah, she was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She's intimidating. Mariah May is intimidating. Yes.
I loved it. All right, so then let's talk about the person who earned the number one spot in the women's casino gauntlet match. This might have been the most difficult match for me to root for. We had the best babyface in pro wrestling, bar none. There isn't a number two. It's 1, 2, and if we're doing top 5 baby faces, pure baby faces, it's Willow, Tony, Orange Cassidy. That's probably how it is, right? Like, there you go. You have the best baby face in Willow Nightingale.
Yeah.
She's taking on the strongest and probably coolest in the sense of like, I bet you she could flip that bus.
Did you see the speaking of Renee Paquette, you see that interview with her and Chris Statlander?
Haven't yet. I haven't yet, but I do.
That's a good one. You should watch that one. Yeah, it's kind of done in character-ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Statlander kind of, but you get like a background, like of the out of character in there mixing. And it's a really good interview. It's done well.
Yeah. So we get Chris Statlander, who again I think is like again, to use another WWE example, and I apologize, but it's just hard to think of someone off the top of the head. AEW. It's kind of like the Braun Strowman for the women's division. Because like Chris Statlander, I think again, she needs to go back to squatting Renee while they do an interview, right?
Yes.
You going to win tonight? Yep. You know, like that, you know. So it's those two plus Tim, plus
the hottest young upstart,
the greatest pro wrestler today. The best. She's the boat right now. She's the best of all time.
Yeah.
The boat. Toni Storm. How do you expect me to be happy?
I know. And God, they all worked together really well in this too, right? The spots they worked out for this was great. Really good stuff.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, the spot of the night, I think, was, I forget how we got into it. Oh, it was Toni Storm tried to roll up Statlander. Statlander's like, you ain't getting me.
Yeah.
And then Willow catapults Toni Storm into the
ovarian delight.
Yeah, the old ovarian delight, the old Yahoo into Chris Statlander. And then Willow, what I loved was like,
Yeah, she was like, yes, I did that. Yes, you saw that.
Yeah. And so we get to the finish.
You can only take a bow after that, right? Like now,
of course.
You know, yeah.
Thank you. Well, we get to the finish here. I thought this was pretty interesting. So Statlander throws Willow out of the ring. She falls on her head, right? Then, or was it Toni Storm? Someone throws Willow out. Toni Storm gets hit with Chris Statlander's finisher. 1, 2, 3. Statlander wins the match. She's going to be number 1 in next week's women's gauntlet match. So a bunch of questions here. 1, what'd you think of the match? 2, what do you think about Statlander pinning Toni Storm? And 3, what are you expecting from this casino gauntlet match?
The match was awesome, right? All the fun that we talked about, right? And was a highlight of the night. And then Statlander getting the win. I think this unique way they're doing the Toni Storm character is a great way to do that. We have the greatest wrestler in the world right now who needs to be losing to some younger talent without harming that stature. And this character helps do that in a unique way that we haven't really seen, you know? Because now she's like, Toni even later is like, I'm just not quite there yet. I didn't have it, but I'm going to keep fighting and coming back. Like, just perfect for all that. Love it. And then, of course, I mean, Statlander, right? It's Saturday night, every fucking night.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the kissing the bicep that Jamie Hayter did. That's who needs to be kissing them biceps.
What are you expecting, though, from this gauntlet match? Who are you thinking might be a surprise? What are you thinking might be the fallout? Because the person wins.
Really
here's the thing.
Because, again, our women's division has been, like, there's some good talent, but we haven't really, right, told a great story, I think, since the Toni Storm saga, right?
I agree. I think the story that's been told since Mariah May won is no one can touch Mariah May,
Yeah,
right?
and
It's
she's
the
a psychopath, and
yeah, but like
everybody beware.
yeah, but like the stories individually, but you
Yeah.
put it collectively, and you're like, that's fucking.
No, they've
cool,
done a
right?
good job, I think, at building that character Mariah May is right. This like psychopath who's on top of the world, looks better than you, wrestles better than you, gets more attention than you, right? And you cannot do shit about it. By the way, if you try, I will knock your fucking face off. And she's awesome. Man. I think they've done that well, right? But again, that's not like that's not Hangman Swerve, right? Like that's not a
right. Yeah. Here's what I think, Tim. So one thing that caught my eye, and again, I'm dumb, so maybe I read this wrong. Could have been. I believe the winner of the women's casino gauntlet match faces Mariah May in Australia.
So you think this Tony Time finds a way to?
My bet, my guess.
This young upstart, man, you think she's got it in her?
This is when we get the payoff.
Okay.
I don't think we're doing young upstart. I think, personal opinion, Tony Storm wins, right? Oh, it's the best. There, yeah, right. She does the same thing where she's like, last week I wasn't ready to win, but this week I am.
I dug deep. I studied harder. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I ate my Wheaties.
Yeah.
I trained. I said my prayer. And anyway, never mind.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to do it this way, but this is the conceptual idea that I have is some way Mariah May walks out and does the like title in her face, like I'm the fucking champion thing. And then that's when she flips.
We'll just see it in her eyes when she flips back to.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I haven't forgot.
Yeah.
And then Mariah's like, I'm fucked.
It would be the greatest if like instantly she turned black and white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, I remember. And then she'll be like, oh no.
Tim, that would be so fucking cool. If Tim, right here. Oh, Tim. I love it when this is fun. Think of it this way. So Tony Storm wins. Renee Paquette gets in the ring like she did with Powerhouse Hobbs. Same interview that Tony does with
the Rockin' Rookie. She's out there.
Yeah, I'm Tony Time, all the stuff, right? Mariah May's music hits. She goes out there. Oh, now you're a rookie. Like plays up that like you're acting, right? I know that, right? Puts the title in her face. You're not going to win this. You're never going to win it again. And that's then when like something like a line like that. And that's when Tony Storm, this is what I would do. Takes a step back, right? Looks at the camera, does the fucking pose. We go black and white. Mariah May realizes she's fucked.
Yeah.
And then there we go. That's what I would do. That would fucking be so much fun.
We should even get like the old timey sound of it, like, right? Like right when she does the pose, right?
For the crowd, yeah, because the crowd can't see black and white, obviously.
Right? Yeah.
Da-da-da. Oh, that would be the best. The best.
Yeah, some old Hollywood trumpets or some shit, right? Luther comes out, and we're just like, oh shit.
Yes. By the way, when Tony Time's been doing all these like backstage, like the office kind of videos, did you see the one where she asked someone where catering was, and it was the butler?
Oh no, I didn't see.
And
that.
he's like, what? Like, you know where catering is? And she's like, no, I'm so dude.
Nice.
He's gonna come back. He's gonna be like, oh, I was never gone. I serve at the leisure of Tony Time. You know what I mean?
So Zerpy brought up something here in the chat. Says it's funny that everyone is acting like this is Tony Storm losing her mind, but timeless Tony Storm was her losing her mind. Tony is kind of back to normal right now. She just forgot the last 3 years.
Love that. I think this is timeless Tony Storm doing her greatest performance as Tony Time, Tony Storm. That's what I think. But it could be the same thing. But I think it's because here's the thing that I would argue against that. Not argue, but the thing that I would say.
I think there's a payoff for that. I feel like.
Well, so if she forgot the last 3 years, it's fine. But previous to that 3 years, she was still an AEW champion.
Yeah,
Like she still won the title before she lost it to Saraya,
Right,
which then kind of kickstarted all this thing.
Makes sense. Yep.
But doing the rookie and then the switch, Tim, I will fucking run through this 13 inches of snow in my underwear if that shit happens. Which, by the way, how are you doing over there? Yeah, well, you know. How are you doing, by the way, with all the snow out there in the wilderness?
Still, I can get off the property in the Subaru or the truck. Daughter can't get on or off the property with her little Chevy, right? Almost got stuck, though, in the Sub the other day. Almost found a way. There is part of my driveway that goes up a hill and curves at the same time, and it's on a millings loose rock to begin with. And I started rolling back, and that's right near the drop-off. I like kind of had to, like, get myself out of it a little bit. I got a text from my son. He was like, "You good?" Like, he was watching from the house. I was like, "Yeah, no, I think I'm all right here." It's like, I'll be hoping a little bit.
So for anyone who doesn't know, out here in Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas, we got a ton of snow. Where I
Fourth
am,
most in one day, they said in history.
Yeah, I got 13 inches of snow out where I'm at. I imagine you got probably something
definitely
similar.
That, and then there's some drifts that are definitely higher than that for sure.
Mm-hmm. My big issue living in the city was we have a driveway, fortunately, but when you try to get up into that driveway because it's at an angle, you got to hit it. But my neighbor's house is right next to the driveway.
There's no room for air. No room for air. And talking about my Subaru, it's a wide-bodied vehicle, and I parked in your driveway before, and I'm like, woo, I gotta watch. I gotta watch the signs here.
I tell you, because I got out today to get some extra groceries for, the snow that's going to come tonight. And I had to gun it back in. And I was like, Mark is going to kill me.
Yeah. And so that's mine too. It's that steep and it's a loose rock and I'm going up hills. And thankfully the Subaru has all-wheel drive, works better than the truck, even with the four-wheel drive usually. But there was one time I hit some deep snow and that's when I started like kind of rolling back. And I was like, oh man, if the Subaru gets stuck here, I don't know what. I'm waiting until this melts. Like, I'm done. I don't know what to do now. Oh, and Theo says they've got fires there in the west course, of course. That's I hope you're safe, Theo. And those around you. Yeah,
that's pretty incredible.
My wife is in California right now, but not in the fire zone.
Yeah, good night. That is a travesty. Hopefully everything gets resolved, I guess you could say, in a timely manner and everyone's safe. But yeah, that is not good. But what was good, look at that transition, was our final segment. We got, I can't do it because I've got it, but like right there. We get the return of Kenny Omega. Now, Tim, I, like a shit-eating wild man, bought the Wrestle Dynasty pay-per-view where I got to see Kenny Omega take on Gabe Kidd. Looked amazing. More proof that Kenny Omega can have a good match with anyone because Dollar General Conor McGregor, he made him look like a star. Side note, I know New Japan, all that stuff. What do you see in Gabe Kidd? Because he's had matches now with Eddie Kingston and Kenny Omega. He's bad. Huh?
I mean, I have not been. I did not watch the Kenny Omega match yet, but I've seen a match or two of the Gabe Kidd, and yeah, I'm also not moved. I think there's a difference over there, and like they are much more into an in-ring product, but I still don't see that out of him as being a high-end thing either. But
my thing was he's doing, and I get if you have the accent, you're kind of always going to be whatever someone else has a similar accent. That's not what I'm saying. He is doing, how can I talk like an MMA fighter, saying the worst things imaginable and doing the middle finger? That's so tired. Like, you're not.
I think that, but
I think he sucks.
People like that maybe I'm for that wrong. Reason.
I think he like sucks like Jeff Jarrett sucks. Like, I don't want to see him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Anyhow, let's get back to the fun stuff. Kenny Omega talks about how he returned to the ring. Now, after having diverticulitis, he came back, he taught himself how to walk, all this stuff. And he's going to be the best version of himself. He might not be the old Kenny Omega, but this version is going to be the god of pro wrestling. And guess who comes out? Well, I guess let's take a step back. What'd you think of the promo before the interruption?
I mean, I understand when somebody has a thing like this and there's an injury they may not come back from, that we always get this speech, right? So there I was thinking I'll never walk or never do it or whatever. And they told me I might not ever shit out of my asshole again, right? Or whatever it is. And I think that's what he said. But it just, I don't want to sound like a crass, unempathetic person here, but it's another one of those where I'm like, this is a better sit down interview than an in the ring main event thing, right? It feels a little anticlimactic to end the show, right? Like I know the excitement to see Kenny Omega was not, but now Kenny Omega just talking about having an ouchie is a little anticlimactic, right? Like it's better done in an interview segment where you can kind of get better, you know what I mean, angles and close-ups and questions and stuff. And it didn't move me as much as I think it was intended to.
Yeah, I think it would have been better with the sit down with Jim Ross, right? Where he could speak kind of in more intimate setting, saying things a little bit longer than half sentences, which is not his, it's promos are that way, right? You take a beat to let the people kind of catch up to what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
I thought they should have done a fuck your intestines because he had 2 feet of it removed. I thought that would have been a fun chant. I would have tried to start that one. Fuck your intestine.
Yeah.
Fuck your
intestine. Try to kill you. Fuck them.
Yeah, try to kill you. Fuck that thing, right? That's what I would have done. But as I mentioned, Don Callis comes out and Don Callis is just like, well, look who's back from the dead. And Kenny Omega's like, we're not doing this shit. I'm going to fuck you up. And runs down.
One of the best, because it's kind of like my failed hot tag, right? Like where he's like, oh, look. And then just, nope. Fucking on site means on site. Shut your dirty mouth.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. So he's punching him. Pop, 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 pop. And then the Don Callis family comes out, murder machine. They throw him around.
They murder.
Kyle Fletcher comes out and he's, hitting him in the gut or whatever. And so he's outnumbered. Well, who comes to save him? Will Ospreay. And Will Ospreay comes out with the chair. They all leave. And then we get this stare down between Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. What do you think?
So before I get to that, the Brian Cage punch to the intestines, I get it. His intestines almost killed him. They said you can't take any blunt force trauma to the thing, so we're going to do that. But like, the guy did just have a big wrestling match so many times. If I'm to expect that one punch to your thing could potentially end your life, you can't be wrestling, right? So like, I can't marry those two, right? You take a knee in almost every wrestling match to the gut in a Kenny, like I guaranteed, right? So like, I can't marry those two. That can't be a thing that we're doing to him now.
Right. I agree. I think, if he's going to do suplexes or frog splashes, then you can't be like, but a punch.
Yeah. You're going to land on the table outside sometimes on yours. Like, no, you're going to frog splash somebody. I know it. I fucking know it. I can see it in my head right now. Yeah. So like, I can't buy it. Now, we do the wrestling trope of guy comes out to save him. And now we're all standing back up. And now, whoa, did you hit me? Why are you standing here with a chair, right? We got that for a second. So like, I thought it was more because if you remember, Will Ospreay, part of the Don Callis family, beat Kenny Omega. Now, personally speaking, again, I'm an AEW fan. I am aware of, though, they have history in New Japan. I don't exactly know what it was. They haven't shied away from it. They told us all that too. Yep.
Yeah. Essentially what I understand is that Kenny Omega's the man. He leaves. Then Will Ospreay is supposed to be the man. Kenny thinks you fucking failed. Will Ospreay is like, get out of here. Then I could be the man. So they have that tension over New Japan.
Yeah.
As mentioned in AEW, where I watch all the time, Will Ospreay beat Kenny Omega, I think with the Tiger Driver 91, I think it was. Boom, 1, 2, 3, pins him. So now we fast forward to here. Will Ospreay, I think, is going out there because Kyle Fletcher's being a dickhead and he doesn't like Don Callis family.
Yeah.
Get out of here. And we get Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay staring each other down. I mentioned this to you before the show even started. I think one of the most interesting battles for the fan is going to be who's the fucking man, right?
Yeah.
This feels like, and I'm
With
not
Ospreay
saying
and
that
Omega, you're saying?
yeah,
Like,
Ospreay and
who's the
Omega
dude,
feels like
right?
who's going to be the number one guy? Because I'm not trying to say that these are the same characters, but it feels a little bit like Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan, right?
Yeah.
Who's your guy?
But they do, I mean, though they're not mirror images of each other, a lot of their traits do have some similar characteristics, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And even their look and the kind of the way they're presented and
Mhm.
things like that, and where they came from, and so like, and then that stands to reason. But yeah, so it's kind of that. Is it still Kenny Omega, or is it the new guard? Which is maybe what they've been doing their whole career. So
Yeah. And so it's interesting because I think if they keep being babyface, right? Like, hey, I'm a good guy. Well, me too, but we got to figure out who's number one. That's interesting to me.
mm-hmm.
I will say though, and I think I told you this.
They
after
almost start
the
getting
show,
jealous of the admiration that the other is receiving during it all.
That's again the example I gave.
You
That's
think his
kind of
flip is
like
cool?
that's kind of like what Hogan and Ultimate Warrior were doing, right? When they would bump the chest and look and like, oh, you thought that was good? We'll run that way and bump the chest, like a little of that. But this is what I was going to say. It feels as if Kenny Omega is on borrowed time, right? Comes back from this huge ordeal.
Yeah.
What I'm reading into it is this is the last hurrah because I'm older. I've had these surgeries. I'm a new version.
Another last ride.
Well, yeah, to a certain extent. So with that
AEW,
being
the home
said,
of the last ride.
I mean, no shit. But here's my issue. If that is what is to be what I think it is, I don't want to see retreads
right
with Kenny Omega.
Well, and the Don Callis family, like, look, again,
that's what I'm
love
saying.
Don Callis. Like, he's
right,
awesome. But he can go take all of this crew and everything and handle some other people and expose them to his greatness. This Omega Ospreay thing doesn't need Don Callis at all. And even this is a bit of a retread, like you're saying, right?
Right. I thought, and again, he is already busy with someone else, and it's very entertaining. But if you could have planned, in my eyes, I would have done Swerve Strickland thinks he's the king of AEW. Oh, the king is back. Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland. I don't think I've ever had a match together. Yeah. So that's awesome. And then it's two different faces of the company.
Hurt Syndicate Kenny Omega. This is Bobby Lashley, Kenny Omega, Shelton Benjamin, Kenny Omega. Like, let's get some matches here.
I just think because as you mentioned, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega are very similar, right? Kind of similar wrestling gear, similar wrestling moves. I know there's differences, but
yeah,
generally
the look
speaking,
is not too dissimilar, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
But you get Kenny Omega and Swerve, and now it's like Final Fantasy cool guy versus West Side Gun cool guy, right? Like, what's your version of cool? What do you like better?
Jeff Jarrett, Kenny Omega?
Well, we're done. So
he's like, show's over, guys. Close it up shop.
Yep, see you. Done with that. No, I think Swerve.
Fucking 13 years and you ended it on that.
There it is. Bye-bye. For me, I want Kenny Omega to do new things, right? That'd be one. On the short list of people I want to see him feud with would be Swerve. It would be Bobby Lashley. It would be MJF, like a real one, because they did the one match to like, but a real
feud
one,
back and forth with some promos and some underhanded tactics. Yeah.
And then the last one that I think would be a cool, and again, if I'm reading into this correctly, like the last hurrah, it would be a bit of a retread, but roles reversed. Hangman Omega.
Yeah, I know, like you said, we don't want to retread, but I'm not going to turn down a Hangman.
Well, it's a different Hangman, right? The Hangman that was using Dark Order to like will his way to Kenny Omega.
So yeah, maybe somebody who snaps him out of it is an unlikely old friend. It's like, we were never friends. Be like, but weren't we?
Right? We were tag champs. Yeah, but
weren't we though?
Yeah,
for a brief
moment, I just really hope that we don't do the low hanging fruit where it's Kenny and the EVPs.
Now the Young Bucks 2-on-1 against
and
Kenny.
or Jericho and Kenny try to be something like no. The new blood, Ricky Starks and Kenny Omega would be cool. Like
Daniel Garcia
and Kenny Omega would be cool. Yeah,
Powerhouse Hobbs.
Well, Powerhouse Hobbs, he might actually kill his intestines if they've wrestled.
True that.
Boom. But that was a fun episode. I liked it. I'm
was.
really excited for next week. I think they're in Cincinnati, so we'll see the reaction for John Moxley, hometown kid, hometown guy. So, yeah, let's see.
God, I wonder if they're going to enjoy watching the Bengals in the playoff. Oh, yeah. Guess not.
They're the scariest team in the NFL.
Burrowhead, right? And know what they...
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Hilton, you dumb fuck. Yeah. Who do you got this weekend? Speaking of sports, who you got this weekend? Any big upset? You got any big upset? You got Broncos over the Bills? Anything like that?
Look, I could see when I saw the records of the playoff teams against other playoff teams, Bills were 2-3. Man, Broncos are not playing bad right now, right? I know they whooped up on our backup, so that's hard measurement, but like,
yeah.
They don't, I mean, they look scrappy fuckers. And Bo Nix might be trouble, man.
Yeah. I mean, when you're 32 years old and a rookie, like you've got a real good chance of winning some games.
What were they saying about Dylan Gabriel at Oregon had 62 starts in college football? And they were like, there are people starting the NFL right now as rookies who have less than 20 starts in the college football. Insane.
Yeah, you got to stop the 8th year of eligibility. No.
Oh, Will Howard out of Ohio State's going to come in. He fucking spent 4 years at Kansas State already. And he's going to fucking, like, Jesus Christ, he's going to have 80 fucking starts and shit.
Yeah, I don't like that shit.
He's a grizzled vet.
The one upset that I think could happen because it's division opponents is Steelers over Ravens. I could see the Steelers winning 10-3, or you know what I'm saying? Like 17-10 and beat the Ravens that way. Wouldn't be shocked.
I would love it. That's the team I'm a little most worried to see again. I feel like.
I want just to stick it to them because I don't like the city. And if you're from there, I'm sorry. Your city sucks. I really want the Bills to come here and just to shit on them again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That city doesn't even have an airport and they got a football team. Get out of here. And your cool thing is that you jump through a table. Oh, that's neat.
You stole the Dudley gimmick. Like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't even have someone else do it. You just do it to yourself like a schmuck. Yeah. And the
we got
Bills.
Too much barbecue on our tables to be doing that over here, man.
Yeah. And the Bills. Oh, you're a
boy. I love losing Super Bowls. The Bills.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our football talk, wrestling talk. Next week, it's going to be great. We're going to have fun, carnage.
Join us. Look for all of our stuff, alleatewrapup.com. We'll give you all the links you need. We're live blue skying now, I guess, is what we're doing.
Posting. We'll just say posting.
Just live posting on Blue Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Follow along during the shows. Check out Tom's articles on his Substack, which you could probably find links to on our website as well. If not, I'll make sure we get one up there. I've reposted them for you with proper crediting, of course. Those sorts of things. So, do all that stuff. Donate if you wish. There's links for that also. But please also remember aewrapup@gmail.com, like our senior European correspondent did in Ash Hendricks. You can also do the same. Send us an audio, a video, or a handwritten email, and we'll talk about it here on the next show. And we will be excited to talk to you next week when we come back for the All Elite Wrap-Up.